Good afternoon, it's 4:20, it's Friday, and it's great to have you with us on the show. First of all, the bell's got to ring. That's just to signal you can have your doob. So thank you to all of you that watched our show last week, all of the shares, thank you so much. And it's important for us to get our likes and subscribe, so please, if you have the opportunity, hit that subscribe button for us. This week we had a really interesting show we have a really interesting show for you. We had a group of people that we've been working with over the 4 years that we just decided we wanted to create a special day and give them some recognition. So we put together a recognition ceremony. And what we're going to do is just run a reel for you first with a couple of the events that we went to, a few of the things that happened. It'll give you a little bit of insight to what our ceremony was all about. And then we'll cover some of the specific awards along the way. Enjoy the show. Chat with you in a moment.
We are going forward.
South Africa's highest court on Tuesday allowed the private use of marijuana, upholding a lower court's ruling that found the criminalization of cannabis unconstitutional.
Whole mandate is, to do the education and training on cannabis for the rapidly emerging, confusing and complex cannabis industry.
Let's go to Soweto then. The Soweto Cannabis Festival is underway in Orlando, Soweto. The festival aims to educate people about cannabis, health, cultivation, medicinal cannabis, and the industrialization, economic impact of the cannabis plant in sub-Saharan region.
As Cape Magazine, we try to showcase as much as possible in terms of the health aspects, the legalization, cultivation, everything like that, the lifestyle aspects of cannabis and what the uses they are.
Everybody knows the recreational use of marijuana, but how many people are using? How many people know, let alone are using the health benefits of marijuana?
When we got involved in cannabis, we asked Shinders, how do we work with THC? It became apparent that privacy clubs are the way to go. So we've basically been running a privacy club that we started many years ago. Basically we started at the beginning. And now the privacy club went from being defendable, then went to becoming de facto law. And today it's 100% legal based on most parliamentarians and legal advice, as long as you don't market it.
I open the door and there's 6 gun barrels pointing at me and the police are going, "Have you got illegal drugs in this house?" I said, "Yes, we have cannabis in the house." And I actually opened the security gate because they were about to shoot the locks off.
What followed was a 5-hour ordeal in our home. They strip searched me.
A lot of people think about cannabis and they think, weed, they're thinking entryway into drugs. Well, that's what some people do say. But really, this is more about education around the cannabis plant and the herb itself and the cultivation for medicinal purposes and so forth.
Extraction, testing, marketing, security, all the kind of things that go into the industry. A lot of people see the industry as, just growing, but there's a huge ecosphere and infrastructure around that to make it happen.
It is only disciplined mass action that assures us of the victory we seek.
This is an announcement to the children of South Africa. Don't smoke weed.
As intelligent as cannabis can be. He said to me, it's so easy to plant. He was treating it like a weed.
We as the youth of Soweto decided to come together and train and develop one another through programs, right, and workshops throughout the weekend.
Call it what you want. Dacha, cannabis, marijuana, pot, weed, hemp, gras.
What that then leads to is really trying to fill spaces in the consumer market that are different than cannabis in a bag, because cannabis in a bag is cannabis in a bag. So we wanted to go a step further and try to actually destigmatize. I think that's part of what this process is.
And you've done that.
But there's much more to cannabis than just smoking cannabis. There is a whole other side of it, a wellness side, a lifestyle side, an alternative medicine side.
Tell us a bit more about those safe edibles.
Okay, so it's all CBD infused, which you can get over the counter. So it has a lot of medical benefits, it helps you relax and, makes you happy, like how I'm happy now. But yeah.
70,000 black men were arrested on dacha charges. We are challenging the 1992 Drugs and Drug Trafficking Act, which says cannabis is a dangerous, dependence-producing substance with no medical application whatsoever. So you can see there's absolutely no scientific basis for any of this. This is all about population control, and this is the last apartheid law.
Welcome back. I'm sure you'll agree with me, some pretty emotional stuff in there, some heartfelt moments, some real big experiences that people have had along the way. And let's hope that that's the end of what we have to experience in the cannabis industry. What you saw there with King Koi being dragged across the grass, not good enough. Some really nice words from Myrtle. Most appreciated that they've done the amount of work that they've done in the industry over the years. It's unbelievable how much stuff's happened in the background that we benefit from today. Anyway, just to put a thank you out to Mike and D-Boy for putting that reel together. Most appreciated. I think you captured the moments great. And then just from here on, let's have a look and see what sort of stuff we can show you with regards to the persons that attended this week. There were people from the podcasting space. I think it's a very important space. There's a few people that we made mention of, the Witcher Scafeco podcast, the Canna Club. They're out there telling the story for and on behalf of people that are growers, clubs, strain hunters, you name it. They're out there trying to capture the story for all of us. And I think that they've done some really good work, and they've traveled many, many miles. So thank you to them, and we'll show you a little bit of the award ceremony. People that also just need to be thanked are people like the guys that are in the background that are building brands, are building logistic systems to be able to allow the growth that the industry will need once we're allowed to be trading properly. And just some industry leaders that are shaking things up, people that are showing consumers a different way, that are helping to destigmatize. So we've got a nice little package for you. Sit back, relax, make sure you relight that doob and enjoy this.
All in the name of cannabis. We follow your journey and effort with interest and have learned much from you.
I think supply and logistics is where it has to be. This is not a single person. The accolade shouldn't go to me alone. It really should go to a team that's done this together. And I think it's a rocky road, but I think we'll get there. I think we're making good progress. And you've been to some of the sites and some of the installations on the medical side and seen what's happening on that side. And I think it's the beginning of an interesting journey. So thank you for the opportunity.
For actually being, what it is that we know the cannabis industry can be and will be going forward. So yeah, thank you guys very much.
Another very important sector of our diverse cultural landscape is the older and more rural generation. The generation that I fondly refer to as the Gogos, and I include the Madalas too. This is an agricultural opportunity for all.
Remember, the people shall govern. So let's go down and till the land and let's govern by our works.
It's the fact that the plant takes on organized pharmacy. That is our fight. So one wants to bring the freedom. Marching around the town and things is doing nothing. Taking head on in a structured environment is making the change.
And at the end of the day, this is the beginning of an industry. So we have created a movement. When I say we, it's the real we, but it is a we because there's lots more than my ideas, and it's the understanding of creating an evolution. We all know that change is nigh, okay? You don't have to stand a placard and say the end of the world is now. It's happened, it ended, okay? 2020 it ended. The end of the world is nigh. We all know, everybody knows that shit needs to change.
Whether it's a song or a dance or a doob, you'll always find him in the kitchen at parties, from Orlando to Orange Grove.
Be able to work with the two things I love most, music and marijuana. So I look forward to a very, very fruitful future. And when I say fruitful, I'm talking about flowers, you know what I'm saying? We smell the terpenes already. Let's go. So yeah, man, it's going to be a crazy 2023. I look forward to doing it with all of you.
But I'm pretty happy to be here. I'm amongst quite a legendary group of people. He's been hustling since high school. I think it was the high part that got his attention.
Cannabis industry is one of the 10 high growth, priorities from the Gauteng government.
If we don't do something and convert this industry to benefit the country, ESCOM can't keep power. And they're being deliberately destroyed. All of the other things that were mentioned before. We have a responsibility to create an industry that people can hang their hat on. And that's our future. Thank you, sir.
We need to look after the industry, develop the industry, because what is important more than anything is to develop the industry.
Rob, Rinus, Bjorn, the rest of the team. I've watched your movie from a front row seat, delivering a better customer offering every day, showing others how it's done. In a world of ever changing right from wrong, you guys stand up for what's
Keep yourself tunnel vision. The less you look, the less you see, the more you do your thing, the better you're going to do. Because ultimately, that's the answer here. No one's done this before. This is brand spanking new. And we all have that opportunity. So, join the evolution and keep on just going straight. Thank you.
We're going to break for the news now, and again it's local, and what I really like is they're going to give you some interesting statistics. So listen up. Things about addiction: coffee being at an addiction level of 7, cannabis being at an addiction level of 9, and alcohol being at an addiction level of 20. So just in terms of those over a scale, highlights that alcohol problem that we have. But this is about weaning people off of other big pharma medicine. So this is fantastic news going forward. Have a listen to the fact that they find there to be less issue with after effects with cannabis than they do with normal pharma or normal medication. Enjoy this.
The Cannabis Research Institute of South Africa is examining the effectiveness of medical cannabis as an alternative to opioids for chronic pain management. Now, a year-long study aimed to also provide credible, reliable and verifiable data to authorities around how it affects people in terms of the credible and management of pain in different ailments that people may have in the country. We've got Dr. Shiksha Gello, who is a cannabis clinician and a global cannabis leader, joining us now for more on this discussion. Dr. Gello, thank you very much this morning. And one would say that this is quite a revolutionary study that was conducted, because it indicates that there are solutions to curbing this huge opioid addiction that we have across the world.
Hi, good morning. Yes, thank you for having me. Yes, definitely. It's very exciting that we are able to, have this research where we can look at how can we wean patients off opioids to put them on medical cannabis, which we have seen is a really safe and effective medicine. So we're looking at recruiting patients on the study to see what will the outcome actually be. So there is sufficient evidence to actually show, with pain that cannabis can help. And now we want to prove it within the South African context.
Right. What would the side effects be? Because we know with opioids, there are always some side effects that a patient would have to deal with. One would assume that with cannabis, this would be an entirely different experience.
Yeah, so the side effects of cannabis is actually, it's actually not as bad as a very safe medicine. Firstly, the stigma when it comes to it being, addictive is not true, because it sits on a 9% addiction rate, the same as, caffeine, which sits on a 7%. Your alcohol sits at 20%, and then your tobacco sits at 30% of your nicotine. So it's a very low, patients can actually not get addicted to it. The other side effects are very mild, things like a dry mouth, increased heart rate sometimes with patients, and naive users that actually don't have the dosing correct can really have, a bit of psychosis, but that's with high THC. But if it's done controlled within dosages within a doctor and a medical professional, then actually those are the very mild side effects.
Very briefly, Doc, if you could maybe just explain to us the regulatory environment after the research. We do know that there are no certain policies currently with SAPRA as an example in terms of the effectiveness of cannabis medicines. How will you all navigate that space?
So, SAPRA does allow for medical cannabis, people to grow to the Section 22C license. However, there is no registered medical cannabis in South Africa as yet. And that is what the aim of the study is, to have a proudly South African medicine. So what we're looking at, once we complete the study, we're going to have a data set, and we're going to use this for the medicines that we are creating in South Africa to apply for a dossier to SAPRA. And then we will be able to have a proudly South African medicine that will allow all doctors across the country to prescribe medical cannabis for pain for their patients.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for watching the show with us. I hope that you have a fantastic weekend. We'll be out at the Industry Day with Chiba tomorrow. Catch us there, myself, Manono, Mash, Mike. And it's going to be a great day. There's a lot of people that have responded. So if you've got nothing planned for the day, be sure to get out there. Enjoy the weekend, as I say. Make sure you've got enough cannabis to see you through. I look forward to catching up with you next weekend. We've got some really nice stuff coming along the way.